So very well. I don't think our listeners were hearing you in the beginning. We had a bit of a hitch there. So you said it's fellow
of the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance.
Okay.
USA and Ghana.
Okay, I see.
So there is a Ghana branch, and which I'm part of, and part of the US one as well.
So you're an international man.
Yeah. We need to always be abreast with international events.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now I have a list of accolades. I don't know how you managed to do all this you don't look too old. You look like you're in somewhere in between your midlife. So to have achieved all of this by now is impressive. Now you need to give us not a chronology, not a full, but at least we need to begin from where it all started. Well, how did you start your career? Where and how?
I would say my career started the very moment I decided on what I want to do with my life. But so we started with what kind of education you want to have, and from there, where do you want to go, and your entire life. So after University of Ghana, I graduated 1999, and right after national service into the military academy.
Okay, so that was decided at an early age?
Early age.
Do you come from a military family?
No, I'm the only person from my family who's been in the military.
Then that must have been a deliberate decision.
Deliberate decision.
Wow.
It was as a matter of interest.
Okay.
Because I felt that they offered leadership platform, so you can train to become a very practical, authentic leader. So I made that deliberate decision at a tender age, primary school, interestingly.
Did you get any direction from, let's say, a parent, an uncle? Because, for a primary school kid, that was pretty definite and deliberate.
It so happened that we're influenced by the events of the time. We were born in an era where, growing up at a certain age, you see military guys all over the place, and the kind of charisma and leadership qualities that they exhibited made one feel that I want to be like that.
Wow.
It may interest you to know that I was discouraged from every single member of my family that no, don't go to that direction.
Why?
But I was determined to go there.
Why? Is it because of the events of the time?
Not events of the time. They look at my size and say, no, you need a huge stature to be in there. But I also felt that, no, you need a brain to be in there. And it paid off.
So your degree was more or less your stepping stone into the army.
Into the military, yeah.
Right. So tell us, in the military, what was your specialty area? Which group did you join? Whether the Recce, battalion, military police, army, air force, navy? Which one?
Well, within the army, I was army regular officer, and the area of specialization was parachuting. So I belong to the almighty para battalion in Tamale.
I see.
So Airborne Force is the name. Airborne Force 69.
Wow. You sound really proud of that.
Of course, because to be able to jump out of an aircraft, a moving aircraft, as a profession and go into battle is not a joke. So you have to be proud about that.
I see. Are you still a military man?
Oh, I'm retired. I've left since 2012. Yeah.
So how long were you in the military then?
I was in there for close to 11 years. 11 years.
Wow. And did you acquire some of these other degrees or other accolades while you were still in the military?
Yes.
So you had the opportunity to do that?
Yeah. While I was serving in Tamale, in fact, to be specific, I want to say this because it's important we place it on record that anything you want to do, you must be deliberate about it.
Right.
I was in 2008, between 2007 and 8, I was in charge of operations in Wa and Boku enclave of the northern sector. But that was the time I enrolled at KNUST to pursue my master's in business administration.
At the same time?
At the same time. Weekend
program. You were working across 2 regions?
Yes.
And you managed to do that?
Yes. So it was crazy driving all the way to
Kumasi.
Kumasi almost every
Oh, you
weekend.
used to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so back then there wasn't the online.
It wasn't
thing.
online, so it was
you have to be
physical.
physically
Yeah,
present.
so every weekend you have to drive in there
Wow.
and study. It was crazy, but because there was a deliberate plan, you have to pursue it to the latter.
Wow. So now we can call you a corporate leader.
Yeah.
We can call you an author.
Sure.
We can call you a supply chain specialist. I'm sure you are also a logistics specialist. Whoever wrote this.
Well,
left it
I
out.
wouldn't say supply chain specialist. I've worked within that space,
Right.
but not a supply chain specialist. Yeah.
Right. So would you say that your military training helped you to come this far? Was sort of the basis of all your other achievements?
I will say so, proudly. No regret about military background. I'm so proud that they gave me the platform, the foundation, the resilience to be able to stand firm in the face of all difficulties. Because all these things come with difficulties along the line. But the strength of mind and purpose given or injected in you by the military pushes, edges you on. So you are always, convinced that it is possible. It is
Right.
possible. Because military training itself from the outside world is difficult.
It looks
It
or
looks
seems.
difficult. Seems difficult.
Yes.
Of course, it is difficult.
Is it?
But it takes mental resilience to go through it. So that background from the military helped a great deal. Yeah.
Right. So tell us, from the military, you retired, as you put it, and then what?
Well,
what have you been up to?
Yeah, so from there I moved into the corporate world. I first joined DHL supply chain, and then from there to Accra Brewery to Talo, Ghana, and to my own company, and now with Goyle, and
Wow.
doing my own consultancies as well.
Wow. So in when you went to DHL first, you worked in supply chain. Then you went to Accra Brewery. In what capacity?
The sites manager. Accra Brewery was sites manager.
And then to Talo in oil and gas. In what capacity?
Talo was senior asset protection advisor.
I see, and that's
Yeah,
security
so-
as well, isn't it?
Related to security
Related.
and safety.
So more or less, you've come full circle at a young
Yes.
age.
Yes.
Because now I have before me a book that you have penned, V.U.C.A. World. What's
Yes.
that? What does that mean?
It's V.U.C.A world. V.U.C.A world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world.
I see.
That is the world we find ourselves in today.
So V.U.C.A World and the Future of Corporate Strategy and Leadership. Victor Abbey. It's a nice hardcover. It's really
you.
quite, the artwork is it's pretty nice. For those of us watching us on Facebook, if you can see it, this is quite beautiful. Tell us about this book. What inspired you to put this down
Okay.
into writing?
We right from the onset of COVID-19, the world was in a state of confusion and nothing was certain. Today we hear about this, the next moment it changes. All manner of knee-jerk reactions were coming up here and there. So I immediately realized that, no, wait a minute. It appears all strategies are no more working as traditionally they're supposed to work.
The book, the book work, as we put it, or let's say the classroom economics or the
Yes.
classroom strategy.
Strategy
no longer makes
applies.
sense.
Makes
Yeah.
sense because you are thinking through some traditional approach to leadership, to strategic management or strategy formulation and all that.
And then
But
you
you realize that
nothing is working.
It's not working across the globe. So I commenced research into the area just to understand what is it that's happening. Again, leadership did not seem well prepared as well to handle such situations. So that's how come I came across the whole concept of V.U.C.A. I say yes, exactly what it is, because supply chain disruptions were on, technological disruptions. People have to resort to the use of technological platforms to work remotely. Some were not prepared. They had no idea how to use those platforms and all that. So we couple with all that, and then you realize that there were some generational differences at the workplace as well.
Yeah.
So how do you combine all this and fit it into your strategy and make sure that continuously or continually you kind of
can sustain growth
and survive within the space?
I remember there were even theories about how the world of work will change and how going forward people will work from home and so on and so. I mean, so many theories popping up everywhere. So when you started this research, what did you find out? What does this book tell us about what we should be doing, to sustain work as usual and growth and so on?
Okay. So first of all, we need to understand the environment we find ourselves in today. That is the V.U.C.A world. The V.U.C.A world basically has to be understood in the context of the acronyms. But before I say that, let's revisit the acronym where we talk about the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity.
Right.
So for you to be able to manage your strategy and leadership approach very well, you need to contextualize some of these things. So volatility, let me use the example of the fuel prices that we see across the globe now. On daily basis, prices are changing.
Literally by the minute.
What that means is that your financial strategy will be thrown off board every minute or every day. Before the year commenced, that's probably most companies have come up with their strategy before.
There's no way we could have predicted these changes.
This 12.
Yeah.
Many might have used a rate far.
There's always a margin of error. There's always a margin but not
to
like
this extent. So again, it tells you need to understand the space, and that means you must monitor not only traditional approach to strategy will say your internal and external environment, but as it is now, not necessarily only that, the technological space as well must also come, and then the geopolitics, international or global geopolitics come to Russia. Just look at where we are. So the book is contextualize these things just to throw light on the basic understanding of the environment we find ourselves in, and then move on to how do you scope your strategy in a way that is flexible to adapt to the changes that come around every now and then, and how do you position yourself, or what kind of posturing do you adopt as a leader in guiding or in directing your team or in leading your team to success within that environment. So that's basically where you talk about the various forms of strategy, basically, and then the leadership qualities, understanding generational dichotomies, as well as how do you change management. How do you go about the process of change management? Because on daily basis you have to effect some changes.
And these things have been there. Yes. These theories have been there. We've all been taught them in our MBA classes and so on. But I think that practically this era has changed how things are supposed to be looked at in context.
In context, exactly. So that's what it is. And it's broken down from the technical language to a non-technical language so that everybody understands what it is. So you don't need to be a scholar to understand some of these things.
Which means that your target is just
everybody within the corporate space. But one thing I discovered also is that many people are occupying leadership positions, and but they have the technical knowledge, but application is a different thing altogether.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that classroom knowledge
we've already talked about
is different from application. Yes, you can rattle all the theories surrounding change management and all that, but how do you practically go about it? The same way people read about leadership or have been taught about leadership and all that, but practically within organizations, what do you see? Do we see those things reflecting? We can rattle all. So that's why I say education is not the study of facts.
Okay.
It's the training of the mind to be creative.
To manage the unknowns.
The unknowns.
I've seen that you've quoted Donald Rumsfeld on page
Exactly.
5, former U.S. Secretary of Defense, and so he's probably one of your heroes or one of those who inspire you. So who inspires you in this space of economics, work, corporate work? Who has inspired you so far to get you where you are? Apart from yourself, your military training, family or friends, you know.
Across the globe, I have quite a number of people or prominent people who inspire my actions, but prominent among those prominent people, the late Sheikh of the ruler of Dubai,
okay,
and the president of Rwanda.
He has an interesting book.
Yes, My Vision.
My Vision, yes.
Yeah,
I've read that book. Interesting.
It's a very, very. I don't know how to describe it.
It's moving, isn't it?
Yes.
How people can think and conceptualize something and bring it into being, more or less.
And that is what I believe in, that think about it or dream it, believe it, and it shall come to pass.
It's akin to Lee Kuan Yew with his vision with Singapore.
Yeah, so that's why I said a lot of them, but in present or modern day, the late Sheikh and President Paul Kagame, because just imagine where Rwanda was a few years back.
Yeah.
Ghana was a country that fully helped or assisted in bringing them out of the genocide. But today, yes. So it's about people envisioning the future and making it happen. So people must be, even at the individual level, at the organizational level, at the national level, we need to have that conversation. Who are we? What do we want? And where do we want to be?
We have a
there?
myriad of issues now in this country where government owes many groups and organizations, school feeding, national service, so on and so forth. Government owes everybody, more or less, district assemblies, everybody is owed at this point within the government's services. I mean, what sort of advice would you give to government? I'm sure you've done enough economics. I mean, with all that you've done, there's no two ways about it. I mean, Maslow's law of needs, opportunity cost, scale of preference, priorities. What would you advise government to do at this point? Because all of these unknowns have come into play. That's why we find ourselves where we are.
You know what? Sincerely,
yes.
When it comes to advice, I don't think that any other advice technically will suffice than me saying that we need a mindset change.
Okay.
A mindset change is what will take us out of the woods. A mindset change that focuses on humanity rather than economic gain. Individual, group, and what have you. But we need to focus on humanity. A mindset change that will drive you towards thinking of the other person and thinking of the need of others. That's what will take us out of everything. Not technical advice as to, you need to apply this theory, you need to do that. They know.
That won't work.
Everybody knows
that one. Right. Since you're a security man as well, I think it's only fair that I ask you some advice or pointers to government. What should we do about these terrorism threats that we're being faced with on a daily basis now?
All right. With regards to terrorism, the threat is real. It is come. There's no doubt about it. What we need to understand is that we all need to be aware of our surroundings, our environment. We need to appreciate the need to be security conscious. Ghanaians need to relax a bit when it comes to the hospitality that we extend to foreigners. Yes,
this is the first time I'm hearing that.
Part of our culture requires us to be nice to everybody. You see strangers and so, can you show me this? If you don't take care, the guy will hold your hand and send you, he will abandon whatever it is and send you to wherever you're going. So we need to be security conscious. We need to appreciate what is happening,
and more.
We need to observe more. We need to be a bit nosy. We need to be critical in our analysis or in whatever we come across. If you are not too sure, you need to question, or you need to draw attention to whatever it is. Because come to think of the fact that we are not fortunate to be trained right from primary school about security issues. So we need to deliberately school ourselves through that. From the national front,
should be a curriculum thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so that we begin, because it has come to stay.
As part of civic education, isn't it?
And so empowerment of institutions to do that and all is part of it. But at the national level, I would say, yes, some education has started. I will add my voice to say probably we need to kind of intensify it, make it, more frequent, available. So it should inundate the social media space.
Right.
That everybody is seeing that education ongoing. I saw some video yesterday on social media. So I think we are doing, but individually it's a responsibility
for everybody. Right. Now we've run out of time, so I know that you have a PhD as well. I was going to ask you why that, because you had already done so much, but that will be another thing for another day. But just leave us with a life lesson, something that can take us away.
Okay. This is what I told someone yesterday, so I'll share it again with all of us.
Right.
The 3 C's of life. The 3 C's of life. Choice, chance, and change. We have choices to make that will lead us to chances, opportunities, and then will propel us to the change we want to see. So in all things you do, you must understand that you have a choice to make.
Solid.
And that choice will lead you to taking advantage of opportunities, of the chance you have, and the change you want to embrace will come your way. So the 3 C's of life is what I'll leave with.
Solid. Dr. Victor Abbey, accomplished gentleman here. He has a book that's out. Where can we get this book to buy?
Well, it's available at Goil filling stations. Just 37 filling station here. You will have copies. And Presec Goil filling station as well, you have copies in there. And any other person or businesses or corporate agencies or institutions that want to get copies for their people, they can call 0243 361 620. 0243 361 620. And I can assure you it's a must-have.
It's a must-read.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've seen a few pages and I'm quite satisfied with it. So I'm definitely getting a copy of this. I don't know if I can keep this copy, but that will be off air.
It's currently available at
any online sources?
100 Ghana cedis.
Any online sources?
Not yet.
Okay.
The publishers are working on it,
right,
and it will be out very soon.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Thank you.
We've just had a fantastic conversation with Dr. Abbey, and if you've been listening to us, well, his road to glory has been long, but it has been worth it. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you, Zoo, for having me.